I absolutely love Richard Linklater as a filmmaker. Love him. He's just such a unique voice and he refuses to be pinned down to any one type of movie. That being said, not everything he does is fantastic, but I will always give his movies a shot. And in case you're not familiar with his work, he's done stuff like Dazed and Confused and School of Rock. He also made the movie Boyhood, which took 14 years to shoot or something? And probably my personal favorite of his projects is the Before trilogy. 3 movies, each set 9 years apart and filmed 9 years apart, following these 2 characters in different stages of their lives, played by the same actors too. And that's the genius of this guy, he's not afraid to take risks and think outside the box. But at the same time, he can make some more mainstream stuff too. And yeah, he's just a very unpredictable and interesting filmmaker to follow. Which brings me to this movie, which is his latest project, starring Cate Blanchett, who I happen to think might be the greatest actress working today. So my bias is pretty strong here. But I will say this is definitely not my favorite project from either of these guys. I've seen them both do much better, and overall I found this movie to be pretty bizarre. Just tonally even. I mean, it felt like a kid's movie, but made for adults. It's kinda silly, but also has some really heavy and serious aspects to it. And I'm not sure who the target audience for something like this is supposed to be. But for some reason I did find this to have a certain charm to it. I definitely didn't dislike it, and once I got over the question of what is this even supposed to be, I found myself quite enjoying it for the most part, although I will say the pacing wasn't ideal. Because toward the end there it did start to drag a little bit and felt a tad bit too long-winded. It needed to wrap certain things up and it just ended up feeling a bit clunky. But what's the movie even about? Well, it's essentially about this woman. This eccentric former architect and the mother of a brilliant daughter. And she's a bit of a mess and her life is sort of falling apart around her. She doesn't get along with her neighbors, she's drifting apart from her husband, and well, she doesn't seem to have really much of a purpose. And all of this is set to this weirdly whimsical and light-hearted tone. And there are a lot of things that happen in this movie that wouldn't feel out of place in a kid's movie. There's also a pretty heavy focus on the daughter. She's sort of a semi-protagonist who also narrates the movie from time to time. Which again makes this feel kinda like it's aimed at a younger audience. But the movie deals with dysfunction, mental illness, addiction, fraud, all sorts of things that then make this feel distinctly aimed more at a more mature audience. And well, Cate Blanchett is also undoubtedly the star of the show here. The focus is mostly on her. And then there are of course these moments where Linklater's trademark dialogue or monologue style shines through as well. Which I've always loved, so I didn't mind that at all. However, some people would disagree. So yeah, this thing is really all over the place and a bit of a mess. But sort of a charming and fascinating mess with a lot of heart too. And even coming from a guy who's done basically everything, this is still something different. Something unlike anything I've ever seen from him before, or really from anyone else for that matter. And that is absolutely one of the reasons I love this guy so much. You never know what to expect, and just when you think you've figured him out, he makes something like this. Which is also based on a novel, by the way, and toward the end it ties into the real world in a way I definitely didn't expect. So yeah, how about it? Would I recommend this? If you're a fan of Linklater, I'd say yeah. If you're not, or you're unsure, I don't know, probably not, because this is a bit of a mess. So maybe give it a shot, or don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And in case you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you'd like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you and thanks for watching.